Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your girl Indian Queen and welcome back to our channel. Yo, I'm so excited for this one. This video is for my movie heads. I'm gonna tell you something right now. My favorite actor of all time is Al Pacino. So when I seen that a compilation had been put together, I knew I had to react to it because my two favorite movie characters is Michael Corleone from The Godfather, and everybody else will know where I'm coming from when I say the next one, Tony Montana from Scarface. Now, to me, Al Pacino played some serious characters in his career. Now, my favorite all-time movie is Godfather. My favorite movie of all time. I can sit there and watch that shit over and over and over and over again because I love the concept. I love movies about family, loyalty, and as we all know, we all love gangster movies. So that was one of my, that is my all-time favorite movie. No movie can top that for me. But also Scarface. It isn't my favorite movie, but it's one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 5 or top 10. But the character that Al Pacino plays as Tony Montana, oh my gosh. So today I'm going to be reacting to The Godfather Vs Scarface. Who would really win? Tony Montana or Don Corleone? Bitch, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I'm colder than a motherhood because it's so cold in the UK you don't even know. Yo, without further ado, actually let me do a prediction. I think Godfather would win. I mean, Don Corleone would win because he's the Don. But then Tony Montana was a crazy mother. Right, yo, we got to see this shit for ourselves. Yo, without further ado, yo, let's go.
My offer is this. Nothing.
Do you want to go to war? Come on. Do you want to go to war? We'll take you to war, okay?
Here's the situation. Tony has been expanding rapidly and outstepped his boundaries, now disrupting the mafia's operations in Miami, affecting interests held by Don Michael Corleone, the most powerful Don in America. After some attempts to negotiate, Tony disrespects Michael and scraps his deal, and now are in a full-blown battle for control of Miami, and for their existence in the criminal underworld. Welcome to the Culture Mafia. In today's video, we explore a hypothetical war between two of the most iconic gangsters in movie history, Tony Montana.
So this is hypothetically. Hypothetically, if they both went to war. They didn't go to war, but if they did go to war, who would win? Bitch, this is dangerous. Tony Montana. Okay. I can't even say it right. Oh, most of the famous quotes ever came from Tony Montana. You want to play rock? Oh my gosh. Oh my, let's go.
Tony Montana and Don Michael Corleone. Now, before we begin, we all understand that this would be difficult, if not impossible, to determine the victor of a hypothetical war between the two, as obviously they wouldn't be around at the same time, especially that in this scenario we will have them both in their prime to ensure it's as fair as possible. So without further ado, let's begin. To determine the winner, we will analyze both gangsters through key categories to help us understand how they compare. To really compare both gangsters, we must analyze the level of intelligence and strategic prowess they possessed. The clearest distinction between the two is that Tony was educated in the streets and had to go through everything himself, while Michael attended a highly distinguished college. He served in the military and grew up with the wise counsel of his father and his associates, watching them build the empire and learning from their mistakes. Also, Michael was very calculated and never let emotions get in the way of business or the task at hand.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
That's what I love about Michael Corleone. He never let his emotions get in the way of business or anything that he was going to do. I wish I was like that because I let my emotions, no. I'm so excited, I just don't know where to start. Let's go.
While Tony was very brash and acted in the heat of the moment, Michael acted like a war general, while Tony was really just a full-on street guy.
Tony was crazy. Tony was crazy. Look at when Tony pulled out that huge ass gun to take on, oh my days.
Not saying Michael wasn't vicious at times, Michael lingered in a gray area in some way. While Michael was being educated in college, Tony was scrubbing plates and struggling to survive. Tony was definitely more street smart and had seen his fair share of hardship on his way up and throughout his life. He possessed a great deal of wit and was relatively good at understanding people and his enemies. But still, in a war, Michael could have definitely out-strategized Tony, just for the simple fact that Michael never, or at least almost never, let his emotions affect his judgments. Although he didn't always do this, he always tried to look at things from different perspectives, then act, while Tony was more outlandish and went in everything all guns blazing.
Hello to my little friend!
We do or will have more detailed videos discussing this, but a vital aspect that we must take into consideration is the amount of money each gangster controls. After taking over, Michael began working on turning the family's wealth away from illegal activities and go completely legitimate. He did this by diversifying the family's income streams through actual investments into real estate, hotels and casinos, stocks in global companies, Wall Street firms, banks, Hollywood studios, and much more. He even kept the original Genco Pura Olive Company in operation. It is important to mention this: these investments both provided a legal source of income yet also acting as a front to cover the insane amounts of money he was generating from the illegal activities. Although there is no clear number given and yearly returns usually vary, the closest total estimation would range from $500 million all the way to $1 billion annually. In Tony's case, he did not have enough time or didn't really care to place too many outside investments to cover his operations. However, he did own a few fronts such as the management firm, his sister's salon, etc. So he did make the majority of his money through the cocaine trade. In a single month, he was bringing in around 150 kilograms of cocaine, which once sold on the street, would be worth around $20 million. Which is an incredible sum considering the short amount of time he had to grow his empire. Maybe if he had the same amount of time, he could have been making a lot more than the Corleones. So, from what we know, we have to give this one to Michael.
So Michael wins that round. All I know is that Michael Corleone was a clever Mother Hubbard. But Tony Montana, he was clever, but he was too angry. I don't know. I love the like brutality. Oh, Tony Montana's gonna win this one. Brutality. Tony Montana is gonna win the next round because it's called brutality.
Now, this one is easy. Although Michael had his fair share of brutality, it always had some logic behind it. It wasn't his first instinct. He always tried the most subtle action first and not risking all-out war. Then you got Tony, whose personal philosophy involves shoot first, think second, which isn't always a
Tony Montana, shoot first, think second. Tony was crazy. Imagine, Tony Montana was, back then, everybody was quoting Tony Montana's sayings from the movie, quotes from the movie. People were acting like Tony Montana.
Always a strength, as he makes more enemies than friends. It also makes him more prone to be a target. However, seeing at how ruthless and reckless we have seen Tony be in comparison to Michael, Tony would most likely be the winner in this aspect. When Michael came to power, he had inherited his father's loyal soldiers, contacts, and network which reached all over the world. They all had some personal connection to Don Vito, or respected and feared him enough to ensure he was never displeased with them, and always had him as a friend. Michael kept following the traditional structure of Cosa Nostra, ensuring that he had his most loyal men as capo regimes, and his immediate circle was only a select few of them, ensuring that he wasn't putting himself in danger. Also, even though he inherited a lot of the contacts, it didn't stop him from growing and expanding even further than his father dreamed of. Tony, on the other hand, wasn't as fortunate. Tony didn't have a proper structure in place as sophisticated as the Mafia had. However, he did have many by his side, as they built the empire and could be considered his consigliere. Tony did have loyal men, however slowly his leadership crumbled as he became more deranged and lost his focus. So in this category, Michael has the upper hand. This one could have easily gone to Michael, as he managed to build on what his father started and transform it into something incredible. However, we must give it to Tony, as he literally built a formidable empire from scratch in an incredibly short time. Not much.
Yeah, from a short time, Tony Montana achieved a lot in the movie. Because Michael Corleone, like the man said, he took over what his dad already built. You got to take your hats off to Tony Montana.
Not much to compare in this category. One of the Corleone family's main advantage over anyone in the criminal underworld is their strong political connections. It's an indispensable asset that Don Vito used to begin the empire and Michael used to reach the very highest of wealth and power in America. Tony barely had any, other than a few corrupt cops, bankers, and lawyers. He never came close to the Corleone plethora of connections to extremely powerful and influential people. Now, for the final verdict, after careful analysis and very tough debates, the winner by unanimous decision is Don Michael Corleone. It really was a very tough decision to make, as both were extremely different, and you can never really know how it could go down. Even so, in this scenario, with the information we have, Michael seems to be the clear winner. He possesses more resources and contacts at his disposal, as well as proving time and time again to outsmart and strategize his enemies. Michael orchestrated the assassination of all the major mob dons in one move, all more powerful in comparison to Tony and arguably smarter. However,
Michael Corleone was a bad man. He was a bad man. The way he took out his enemies so smartly. You couldn't even say it was him, but you knew it was him. But there was no proof, Mitch. There was no proof. Michael Corleone was a bad... I loved Michael Corleone. I love Tony Montana too. Very hard one.
However, with someone as unpredictable as Tony, with almost nothing to lose, you can never underestimate him. He does prove to be a huge threat to anyone who steps in his way, so Michael wouldn't easily take care of him like the others. But what do you think? Do you think Tony stands a chance against the almighty Corleone family? Or do you think there is a clear winner? Comment below and let's continue the discussion.
Yo, I truly believe Don Corleone would have won that Michael Corleone. But Tony Montana, the guy had heart. He wasn't scared of nothing. He didn't like no one tried to take the piss out of him. He was a firecracker. Yo guys, you know the sickest part is, Al Pacino is one of the greatest actors ever. And the best part about it is, with Michael Corleone and Tony Montana, he's the same man. Yo, one.